Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
What's up, podcast family? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 373. Phil Graham here. Today, we're going to be talking about Facebook and Instagram ads on a limited budget. And I'm going to share 4 really great steps that could help you get more from less. A lot of people don't realize that with a smaller budget, you have even less room for error than someone that has a large budget. You cannot make the same amount of mistakes, or else it's really going to hurt you. So you really need to be highly skilled, whether you have a large budget or a small budget. And today we're going to be talking about how you can maximize the effectiveness of your Facebook and Instagram ads, at least as much as possible, to give yourself the best chance to succeed, even if you have a low or limited ad budget. And these tips should be really helpful regardless of your ad spend, but obviously they're even more so geared towards entrepreneurs, small businesses, and startups. I can't believe in a couple days it's the 4th of July. So if you guys are in the US like I am, I hope you have a great time. We are planning a family barbecue. We're going to watch fireworks, eat watermelon, just do all the classic things. So it should be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys have a great time as well. It's a fun time of year for sure. Now, before we jump into the content, if you guys are looking for someone to run your ads for you so you don't have to worry about it, or if you want to learn how to do it yourself the right way so you don't have to pay anybody to do it, for either one of those things, you can go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you, whether it's for our done-for-you service or one-on-one coaching. So let's jump right in. I want to keep this short, sweet, and full of value. Our strategy today is how do we get the most out of a small budget? And how do we set things up in a way to where you'll know what worked and what didn't and why? So step 1, I'm going to share 4 steps. Step 1, how much should you budget? This answer might be dependent on how much money you have. You may be limited to a certain amount no matter what. And if that's the case, whatever that number is, go with it. And the goal is to get the most out of it. But if you have some money and you're just not sure how much you should spend, number 1, what kind of results do you want? It needs to tie to the expected result. That's important. But number 2, I am an advocate of kind of starting somewhat small on the budget. I don't want to start too small if I can help it with clients, but I want to be a little conservative until I see what works. And then once I see what's working, then we can scale that. And so that's what I would recommend when it comes to budgeting. Obviously, if I was working with you personally, I could find out everything I need to know and then recommend an actual number. But that being said, hey, I've seen people start as low as $5 a day. Is that ideal? No. But could you make that work if you had to? It's very possible. Plenty of people have. So think of a number that would work for you that's not going to keep you up at night. Start there. Let it run long enough, get some data, and then make adjustments. And that's how I would start with step 1. Now, step 2, we're going to talk about some high potential, cost-effective strategies for small budgets. And in step 2, we're going to talk about audiences and placements. So targeting the right audience is really important. I like to target a number of different audiences. We have our large, broad audiences, especially like Advantage Plus. But we also have our smaller segmented audiences, which also do really, really well. In fact, I would say about half the time our segmented audiences do a lot better than Advantage Plus. So they both can do really well. I would recommend that you guys are careful with Advantage Plus and any really large audience when you have a small budget, because it could take a long time to cycle through that audience, and you might not have that amount of time. You might need to see results quicker. So I may go with a Advantage Plus. I'd have to know your exact situation, but let's say you can only do one. You can only do one audience. Then I would pick a smaller segmented audience first, and then I would match your ad copy and your creative to the types of people you're targeting. And I think that will give you a much better chance for success early on, especially with a smaller budget. And then obviously retargeting is always a great option. So I would have at least one top of the funnel campaign going to a segmented audience. And then if you have enough budget, you could also do one for Advantage Plus. And then I would have another campaign going to your warm retargeting audience. And then when it comes to placements, I am a fan of Advantage Plus placements. I think they're great. We do that most of the time, but I wanted to share one other placement that's worked really well for us and for our clients, and that is stories and reels only. I would recommend you guys test an ad that just goes to stories and reels. And obviously the creative would be made specifically for those placements. So it would be vertical and your placements would just be those two placements. That's it. Nothing else. I would test that because sometimes that does really good. Not always. That's why we test it. But I've had some good success with that placement. So that's definitely something I would recommend testing. All right, step 3. And obviously, like I could talk for hours about each one of these steps. I'm just trying to give you guys as much as I can in a short amount of time and something that is like bite-sized chunks of info that you can take and run with and use. So step 3, it's all about optimizing your ads and creating compelling creatives that give you a chance for success without having to spend a ton of money. So if you've listened to my podcast very long, it's probably going to be no secret that my favorite ad format for getting the most from any ad budget, but especially lower budgets too, is definitely video ads. Because there's a lot of benefits of videos. There's multiple retargeting opportunities. Like if somebody watches a video, but they don't have time to click to go to your website, you can still target them because they watched your video, even if they stay on Facebook or Instagram. So that's really nice. Obviously, if they watch your video and they click to go to your website, there's multiple opportunities for retargeting. So I really like that about videos. I think my favorite thing about video, and this would be the same for audio as well, is that it's usually going to give you a much better and quicker know, like, and trust credibility factor. So if somebody can see you and or hear you, they get a much better feel for you or your brand and whether they trust you. And when they get that trust and credibility and feel that much quicker because they see you or hear you on video, that's something that can really help you. And video, in my opinion, accelerates that so much versus just words on a screen. So I think it gives you a huge advantage. So my recommendation for you guys on video is to leverage that video and really highlight your differentiation, both of your brand as well as whatever you sell, your product or service, how it's different. And I would recommend creating an us versus them video. And I would make it 60 seconds or less. And it would highlight how your brand and your product or service is different and better than what else is out there. But most importantly, it's not just about how it's different and better, but it's how your difference will benefit your customers, because that's what they care about. So make sure that you don't leave that part out. And then I would also be using my formula when it comes to video. And so I would be educating, entertaining, and inspiring, as well as giving our differentiation in the video, as well as your ad copy that goes with it. And that's definitely how I would recommend getting the most out of a small budget with your creatives. Now, if you have enough budget to do more than one ad, you could also test an image ad versus the video and see which one does better. So I really like this step. I think it's the most fun step because you really can think of every creative, every video, every set of ad copy that you create. It's like a new player on your team, and you created that player from scratch. And now they get to go onto the field and you get to see if that player is any good or not. And it's so much fun being able to test these things when you do it right. You definitely don't want to do it wrong to where you're just flushing money down the toilet and you have no idea why it's not working. But when you do it right, it makes such a big difference. And then lastly, step number 4, it's about testing timing and data evaluation. So the importance of testing cannot be emphasized enough. It's one of the biggest things that can affect your success. And there are so many different things you can test: headlines, videos, images, ad copy, hooks, placements, audiences, and lots more. So there's tons of testing elements. So there's a lot of things that you can try. And the main thing when it comes to testing is you really need to set things up so that you're testing correctly. Because if you're testing something, but there's 5 different variables, that's not a test. That really isn't, because you'll have no idea which one of those variables made a difference. But if you're testing 2 different ads and they're equal except for one difference, then you can look at that data and know that that one difference caused whatever the data is showing. And that gives you a huge edge and a huge advantage too, my friends. Another big key to testing, timing, and data evaluation is you've got to let your ads run long enough. So many people shut them off way too soon. I'm going to give you a quick example of a client success story that emphasizes this in just a second, but you want to let your ads run long enough. Now, I can't tell you how long that is because there's millions of variables. It depends on lots of different things. But if I had to kind of pick a general number, I would say usually at least a couple weeks. The key here, though, is you want to use data to make really smart ad decisions, not emotions, not fear, not fake gurus or any of that other crap, but pure data. It gives you such an edge and such an advantage. And lastly, I thought I would share a quick little success story. So we worked with an e-commerce client and we launched a brand new ad. And the goal was we wanted to get customers for $25. If we could do that, we were going to be making plenty of money. Everything was going to be great. So within the first week, within 7 days of launching this ad, the cost per acquisition was 40. That's a lot more than our goal of 25. A lot of people would have turned that off after the first week. I mean, heck, I think some people would have turned it off after 2 days. I bet you may have done that. I don't know. A lot of people do. But I saw certain things in some of the other parts of the data that led me to believe that, hey, this might be something that turns into a good ad. I need to give it more time. We haven't given it enough time yet. So it started off at $40 to get a customer. By the end of the second week, it was down to $32. So that was actually some good progress, but it was still well above our goal of 25. But that was good progress. By the end of the third week, it went all the way down to only $14 to acquire a customer. So in that third week, we went way better than our goal of 25, all the way down to 14. And then by the fourth week, it was only $7.90 something to get a customer. Now, these are not exact numbers. I'm going off of my memory. It's just kind of rough estimates, but it was like $7.90 something, less than $8 to get a customer. Remember, this ad started at $40+ to get a customer. And it took 3 weeks until we got to where we needed to be. And then by that fourth week, we were getting customers for 1/3 of what we thought we were going to have to pay to get them. And I'm telling you, this is an ad most people would have turned off long before. And it's consistently been one of the best ads. It's stayed really good. So again, I didn't just randomly leave it on. I was looking at other data points that led me to believe that it might do well. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I'll let it run longer and it won't work well. And guess what? Then I know for sure that it didn't work, and I can use that knowledge to make better decisions moving forward. But if I turn it off too soon, I really had no clue either way, and that's not going to help anybody. So that's why having a really high skill level when it comes to data and running ads is so important. As you get better at data evaluation, you'll get better at knowing how long to let things run and when you should shut things off. And that could really change a lot of things for you. So my friends, I hope this was helpful. There was a lot of good stuff in here. If you've got a limited budget, make sure you try and get the most out of it because there's so much opportunity. Episode 373 is in the books. Got another great one coming for you next week, and I will talk to you then, my friends. Have a great week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.